Hi there, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to paint happy mushroom people. I think these guys make fantastic elements to add to your illustrations and storybooks because they're super cute and you can easily pose them doing anything. Make sure to check the description for a list of the brushes and textures I'm using for this. And also, YouTube says I need likes for some reason, so if you think I've earned it, don't forget to give this video a like. And to start painting, I'm going to choose a color for my mushroom. Nothing too dark or too light, just something in the middle. For the brush, I'm going to use the sharp round brush. And in one long stroke, I'm going to sketch out a rough silhouette of my mushroom. So if you have a reference image for a specific mushroom, of course you can follow those colors and those shades. But if you're just freehanding a random mushroom, I recommend having the head of the mushroom be dark, the underside the medium tone, and then the stem is the light tone. So I'm going to change my color here to a slightly darker version, same sharp round brush, and I'm going to kind of sketch out the head. After that, I'll change to a lighter color, and I'll use that to lighten up the stem. And I'm just going to bring it up just to the inside of the bottom of the mushroom. Next, I'm going to blend this transition here. So I'll switch to the water blender and smooth that out. And once the main colors have been laid out like this, you can use the eraser brush if you want, set to the fine liner pen, and you can refine the edge of your mushroom, but I think this one turned out pretty good, so I don't need to do a lot of adjustment here. And after that, I'm going to move on and do some shading. So I'm going to grab the selection tool, set to freehand, and I'm just going to select one side of the stem here, and then one side of the underside of the mushroom. Then I'm going to feather out that selection. I'll darken it with the hue, saturation, and brightness. Then I'm going to go to my color balance. Make sure this is set to midtones, and I'm going to mess with the color balance to make this sort of bluish. And this ended up slightly bluish green, but I think it's still okay. I think when it comes to simple illustrations like this, color science is very important. And I really like it when my shadows look slightly blue and cold, and my highlights look very warm and saturated. And the process for the highlights is really similar. Again, I'll use the freehand selection tool. I'm going to select the highlight side of the mushroom, and then along the edge of the cap like that. Then I'll do add, and I'll do another selection down here on the stem. I'm going to feather both of those out quite a bit. And this time, I'm just going to go to hue, saturation, and brightness, and brighten it. And that's usually all I need to do to get a warm highlight. Next, I'm going to add some details and textures, and those are going to be on their own layer, so I'll make a new layer above my mushroom. The first detail I do is going to be pure white, and it's going to be the lines under the cap of the mushroom. For the brush, I recommend changing it to a default Procreate brush in the drawing tab. It's called Little Pine. And I'm going to use this to draw a bunch of parallel lines under the mushroom cap to look like gills. And these definitely don't have to be perfect, you just want to give the suggestion of some line detail down there. And of course, those lines are kind of too white by themselves, so that's why I did them on their own layer. So I'll just lower the opacity of that layer to 0, and then slowly raise it back up just until the lines are slightly visible. I also think I want to add some kind of texture to the top of the mushroom. So again, I'll make a new layer for that. This time I'll choose a darker brown tone. For the brush, I'm going to go back to the watercolor brushes, and I'll use the stippling brush at the top, and I'll just go over this sort of loosely. Then I'm going to set that layer transparency mode to multiply, and I can also adjust the opacity of that as well. Now in a few areas it went beyond the edge of the mushroom, so I'll clean that up with the eraser brush. And once these patterns and textures are finished, we can finally move on and add the face and the arms, and those should be on a new blank layer of their own. Now the face details are pretty easy. I just recommend using that Little Pine brush once again for these because it's kind of scratchy, almost like a colored pencil. You can also do some simple closed eyes, but I think these kind of wide open almond eyes give it a little bit more character. Now the arms are pretty much just noodle arms, and you can have them doing whatever you want. The only thing I recommend is make sure the color of the arms is just a little bit darker than the color of the stem of the mushroom. I think having just black lines as arms is a little bit too bold. Now this last step here is very optional, and it's a little bit of a secret in Procreate you can use to give your illustrations more character. And to do it, you first have to merge all the layers for your character here onto one layer just like that. Then you can go to the adjustments, go to liquefy, Make sure it's set to push. You can copy my settings here, and then this one here just controls the size of it. And what I'm going to do is use this at a pretty big size and warp and bend my mushroom character and give it a little bit more of an interesting shape and kind of quirky posture. I feel like this also gives you a chance to experiment with a little bit of emotion in your lines, and you might discover a new arrangement here that looks really nice. And there we go. This cute mushroom person is all done. Now, hopefully the techniques in this video are pretty universal and you can use it to create a huge variety of mushroom people. One thing to keep in mind though is that smaller mushrooms don't need as much detail as the bigger ones. So for example, if you're painting a baby mushroom like this, you don't even have to paint the underside of the head or the gills or anything. You can keep the character very simple, and that helps give it the impression that it's small. And that pretty much wraps it up. Once again, if you think I've earned it, don't forget to give this video a like. If you like painting cute watercolor characters, I think you might like to watch one of these two videos next.